Welcome back to Nationwide, where we're celebrating all things Irish. Now, anyone who has ever travelled the road from Galway to Spiddal will be familiar with the department store Standun, which has been in the same family for 3 generations. The shop is very much part of the landscape and the community of Spiddal, and Mary recently went there to find out more about this thriving family business. She began by visiting the family home of Donald Standun, son of the original owner, and his wife Raymond.
Hello, Mary. Tá fáilte rud.
Míle mágad, tá go deas le an só.
Tá fáilte.
I saw your dog out there.
Right.
Donal and Raymond, you look really relaxed here in your home. I suppose due to the fact that you aren't working full-time in Standuns now, but I want to know the story. Everybody who passes the road into Spiddal sees Standun on the left-hand side. It's a fascinating story.
It started for us in 1946. My father and mother bought the place there for £600, and they were paying it back in bits and pieces, about £100 a time, and they had to pay it back in 3 years. But they came from my father came from Liverpool and my mother came from Mullingar.
And how did they meet?
Very interesting. My father was in a particular establishment with 2 of my mother's brothers, and she was in another place with 2 of his sisters, and she was in Mountjoy and he was in the Curragh.
And how did he end up from Liverpool into the Curragh? He was interned there.
He was interned in the 30s. He sold newspapers, and then he had to queue on the docks to get work, and eventually he got involved with the IRA, and he knew Brendan Behan over there, and he eventually moved over to Ireland, and then he was picked up.
Your mother and father met after they were both released. So it must have been very soon after they got married that they bought the shop.
They're married in 46, the same year that they bought the shop.
Did they begin immediately to expand?
They did. My father started measuring people for suits, and they started expanding into furniture and undertaking and all of that type of thing. And then they started into the knitwear business, and they were the first to export sweaters to America. So they started the tourist business, and that's how the whole thing evolved. You know, they were very close, and if you even notice the stone outside the shop, I had it erected after they died. And they died. My mother died about 11 weeks after my father. Her heart wasn't in it anymore. And written on the stone is "Anáte bhfuil de chrí is an na hiúras de chosahu." Wherever your heart is, that's where your feet will lead you to. And that was true of them, because my father's love of the language and my mother's love of the music, that brought them to Connemara. And Connemara was very good for them, and I think they were good for Connemara.
Raymond, how does a Cork woman end up in this Connemara family?
Well, I suppose I took a detour. I ended up going to live in France for a few years after college, and then I came back and I was a tour guide, and I was a tour guide for French and American tours, so I started bringing tours into the shop, and well, that's where it all started.
That's where you met Donal?
That's where I met Donal.
I eventually decided to take over the family business, just like Cliona has.
I'm sure you're very proud of your 2 daughters.
I'm very proud of them, yes. Cliona's making a great job of the shop and her role as manager, and Lara is working in the headquarters of Dunnes Stores in the buying section.
Well, seeing as Cliona is the boss, I think I should go over and have a chat with her at the shop. Will you guys follow over?
That'd be great. Yeah. And I'll buy you a cup of coffee.
Ooh, okay. No. Cliona, hello. Tá mé brisce steach ar an obair.
Fás agus Standun, Mary.
Gur míle mágad. Aren't you a very young person now? I didn't realise you were going to be so young, to have all of this mantle of responsibility thrust on her.
Well, I think I am anyway. But About 3 years ago, well, about 4 years ago, my parents started getting fed up and wanted to retire. So it was a case of take over, or, you know, maybe not get the chance to run the family business.
This is all in your blood, of course, isn't it, Cliona? You were running around here as a youngster, I presume.
Yeah, it was great fun when I was small. We had a factory here with knitters, and factory is the best place to grow up. We had, my sister and I would run around and cause havoc. So
And that, of course, was the Aran knitwear, which is still the staple of your shop, isn't it?
Our bread and butter. We're known for being the home of the Aran sweater. We were the first to export to the US, and there were about 700 knitters around the country.
You, however, have brought some modifications to the traditional Standun.
We've brought in a lot of fashion, and we've become more well known for our fashion now in the last few years.
And you're in charge of all of this?
Well, my parents help me out, of course. I mean, I'm trying to get rid of my dad, but it is a challenge. But
he's like a sticking plaster.
Yeah.
And what's it like for a young person living in Spittal?
It's nice. I mean, you really appreciate the scenery and the fresh air and the sea and everything when you go away and come home. And of course, Galway's great. Galway's only 20 minutes away, so it's a great place to go out, and there seems to be a festival every weekend.
A lot of the changes, I suppose, have come about as a result of your involvement with Fergal Quinn.
Yeah, so I took over in March 2010, and we started working with Fergal Quinn 2 months later. So I was really only kind of getting my bearings here when...
That was for his programme?
Fergal Quinn Retail Therapy, yeah. And so it was an opportunity that we couldn't miss. We started filming and making huge renovations structurally on the outside of the building and on the inside, and it was a lot of work.
Did it make a big difference?
It made a huge difference. It really put us on the map.
Cliona, Standun has been part of the landscape here and also part of the community for what, 66 years?
Yeah, that's right. I suppose the thing that makes us unique is that about 90% of the staff speak Irish.
Well, you're obviously doing something right. You're doing a great job, Cliona. Now, your mum and dad said that they would follow over. So will we go just so I can say goodbye to them?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. No. Coffee break, are we? Can I say, Donal and Raymond, that you need have no worries about Standun. It is in very good hands with your daughter, Cliona.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I mean, we've utmost confidence in Cliona.
And have you kind of plans now for the summer to relax and step back while Cliona does all the work?
Well, I offered to do it 3 days a week for Cliona this year, and she told me that it was about 3 days more than she had in mind herself. So I don't know, I have to have a look at my plans again.
You shouldn't be listening to this. You're going to be working very hard.
When can I retire?
Not for a long time. Listen, thank you all very much for showing us around and for telling us the fascinating story of Martin and May particularly. So, g'nair go galibh sa Sarah Toltacht.
Gur míle mágad.
And may we wish continued success to the Standun family in Spittal. And so we've come to the end of this evening's programme. I certainly hope that you enjoyed what was on offer. Bye for now.
The answer to last Friday's competition question was County Donegal, and the winner is Eleanor Loughlin from Navan, County Meath. Enjoy the trip to New York, Eleanor. And on Fridays nationwide, as it's Daffodil Day, we meet people who've had cancer and who have come together to form a choir in Galway. And from Dunleary, the Sailing Club, which is giving a helping hand to those in their community with limited mobility. On Nationwide this evening, as it's Daffodil Day, we meet people who've had cancer and who have come together to form a choir in Galway. From the north, the story of a Tyrone man who composed a song for his wife after she was diagnosed with cancer. And from Dunleary, the sailing club, which is giving a helping hand to those in their community with limited mobility but who would love to take to the water to learn how to sail.
Welcome to the programme. We begin by congratulating the thousands of men and women who have taken to the streets as volunteers for the Irish Cancer Society's Daffodil Day. And shortly we'll be finding out how the day went. But today is a day when we remember friends and family who have been affected by cancer. Dr. Paul Donnellan is a cancer specialist and the brainchild behind an initiative aimed at helping people with cancer through song and music. And as our reporter Anya Lally has been finding out, the idea has now gone global.
I live in